If you haven't heard how the feud is escalating between Elon Musk and Peter Navarro, you are going to want to stay tuned for this because dare I say, Ryan, it's been a little bit entertaining. Caroline Leavitt at the White House press briefing yesterday weighed in on that rift. Elon Musk is coming from a more libertarian, basically pro-free trade. He said he wanted a free trade zone between the United States and the EU the other day. He has been posting videos of Milton Friedman talking about the many benefits of free trade, libertarian economist Milton Friedman, that is. So Peter Navarro, on the other hand, is one of the more vocal protectionists who some people feel is pushing Trump in the direction that he's gone, maybe to the chagrin of advisors like Scott Bessent and Howard Lutnick, who probably would prefer a policy that has pauses and all of that built into it and hasn't affected stock markets quite in the same way that it has. So let's roll Caroline Leavitt getting asked about that relationship, which is spilling into the public a bit yesterday.
There's been some public sparring between Elon Musk and the president's trade advisor, Peter Navarro, on some of these tariffs. Musk actually referred to Navarro today as being, quote, dumber than a sack of bricks. Are you at all, or is the administration, the president, all concerned that this is maybe impacting the public's understanding of these tariffs? It might be messing with the message on it?
No, look, these are obviously two individuals who have very different views on trade and on tariffs. Boys will be boys, and we will let their public sparring continue. And you guys should all be very grateful that we have the most transparent administration in history. And I think it also speaks to the president's willingness to hear from all sides, that he has people at the highest levels of this government in this White House who have very diverse opinions on very diverse issues, but the president takes all opinions in mind, and then he makes the best decision based on the best interests of the American public.
Ryan, I don't think that's completely crazy, that it's in some ways beneficial for us in the public to see where Elon Musk actually is on trade and to see how he treats other people in the administration, and to see the tension that exists within the administration, not just over the question of trade, but actually over the particular tactics of this approach. I don't know. I'm curious how Elon Musk would be reacting if, say, Bob Lighthizer had been in charge of this tariff approach. I think there's a sense that maybe with Lighthizer in the administration, obviously he was with the first Trump administration, he was with the Reagan administration, seen as kind of a serious policy type guy who has Trump's ear. Would this rollout have been less chaotic? I don't know. The chaos is also clearly part of the point here. But would Elon Musk be reacting this way under those circumstances? I don't know. I think maybe he just really hates Peter Navarro.
Well, I also think it's the policy. Like, he is like probably the world's greatest moron at this point. He invested all of his energy and, many millions of dollars into electing a guy whose stated policies would destroy his companies.
Well, that's quite interesting.
And then he enacted those stated policies, and the guy lost his mind. Now he's talking about a free trade deal with Europe after he has spent the last year savaging all of the neoliberals who would agree with him in making that kind of a free trade deal and propping up far right-wing nationalists across Europe, and then being shocked when those leopards eat his face. It's like, you can't be this stupid. And yes, it's nice that we're getting some transparency, but it's also, come on, it's Elon Musk. It's impossible to not know his every thought. He forces it right in front of your face.
Right, it's not an intentional strategy.
He paid so that everybody knows his stupid thoughts.
It's not an intentional strategy of transparency. It's not like we are going to finally let the American people in. Now, the consequence of it, I think, is helpful for the American people, but yes, it's not them being like, we have such pure heart that we are going to let you into the negotiating room.
We asked Elon to do this.
So we're going to play a clip now of Peter Navarro talking about Elon Musk. Elon Musk responded to it, and man, does that spiral from there. So let's go ahead and roll this next element.
When it comes to tariffs and trade, we all understand in the White House, and the American people understand, that Elon's a car manufacturer. But he's not a car manufacturer. He's a car assembler in many cases. If you go to his Texas plant, a good part of the engines that he gets, which in the EV case is the batteries, come from Japan and come from China. The electronics come from Taiwan. The tires come. What we want, and the difference is in our thinking and Elon's on this, is that we want the tires made in Akron. We want the transmissions made in Indianapolis. We want the engines made in Flint and Saginaw, and we want the cars manufactured here. It's like this business model where BMW and Mercedes come in to Spartanburg, South Carolina, and have us assemble German engines and Austrian transmissions. That doesn't work for America. It's bad for our economics. It's bad for our national security. We want them to come here. And with Elon, it's fine. He's a car man. He's a car person. That's what he does. And he wants the cheap foreign parts, and we understand that. But we want him home. We want him home
Peter, you
for our national security and economic security, and everything's good.
That absolutely set Elon Musk off, and
As it should have.
There's nothing surprising about that setting Elon Musk off. So Elon Musk responded to a post of that clip, and put the little asterisk in his response to someone who posted the clip and said this is what Peter Navarro said. He put little asterisk. Peter Retardo.
Well, I hope Musk is happy. He at least gets to say that.
He gets to say that. Golden age. And then he also replies, Navarro is truly a moron. What he says here is demonstrably false. Tesla has the most American-made cars. Navarro is dumber than a sack of bricks. And then he tagged the account, I find retards, and then he tagged Peter Navarro's account in his response there. That's what set off the Caroline Leavitt exchange. So again, it makes sense that this is how they're responding to one another. And right. Peter Navarro is somebody who, there are a lot of people in Trump's orbit who are quite uncomfortable with Elon Musk's aggressive libertarian economic policy, particularly because it's led him to have deep financial entanglements with China. And a lot of people actually just have, you saw this spill into the surface with Steve Bannon over the H-1B stuff. A lot of this is simmering. It doesn't erupt every day, but it's simmering beneath the surface between a lot of true believers in Trump protectionist circles, Trump, the sort of MAGA industrial policy realignment circles who have a deep distrust of Elon Musk. And I think that's where you get Peter Navarro asked publicly about Musk, just openly saying, look, Elon's fine. It's all fine. We're glad he's in the administration, but X, Y, and Z, he's just shooting from the hip. Mm-hmm. And that created this public controversy.
Yeah, and consumers of this news program would never kind of mistake me for some Elon Musk fanboy, but he does assemble a lot of the batteries here because he has a big plant in Nevada that makes batteries for Tesla. And Navarro does sound like a moron when he starts talking about the difference between an EV car assembler and an EV car manufacturer, because the problem that a lot of unions and the UAW, for instance, has with the transition from the kind of cars they've been making for 100 years to the EVs is that they're so much easier to assemble. Like an EV it's like a battery and some wheels and then a really advanced software system wrapped around it, and then some panels that fall off as soon as you drive the car off the lot. But he keeps kind of reverting back to language about that fits better with the old Detroit. Like, we're going to do the transmission, and like an EV. Technically, I guess it has a transmission, but it's like a one-speed transmission. It's like, that's it. You press the gas and it goes. It doesn't have the multi-speed transmission. It's not, you're not putting the clutch and V6 and V8 and like all of the fine tuning that requires sophisticated manufacturing isn't there with the quote unquote engine of an EV, which is just the battery and it goes. Moron is fair, I think, in this point. I think Musk is right there. A lot of Musk's Chinese production is for the Chinese market and for other markets.
Yeah.
Like Tesla's a global brand. And the other American auto companies should maybe try to figure out why that is.
It's not that to your point, it's not that he doesn't import materials. It's that he does it less
right,
than
and
others.
He needs Chinese rare earths and other, he needs other elements of the Chinese supply chain, but not necessarily the ones that Navarro's talking about here.
So this is the last element, B5.
This is also what I mean by we're not bringing our best against the Chinese in these negotiations.
Well,
these are morons, all of them.
These two, you can just see there's something like this is what happens internally in every presidential meeting. It's like the long-running bit here in DC about how actually Washington is Veep. It's not West Wing. It's not House of Cards. Like it is Veep. It's completely true. It's cliche at this point. But this is the type of stuff that happens internally all of the time. Now we can put the next element up on the screen. Caroline Leavitt told Eamon Javers yesterday, "We are the most transparent administration, expressing our industry, expressing our disagreements in public." Again, this is
Whatever. I love it.
whatever. That's basically, I mean, that is the best possible response, right? Like they're not even trying to spin it and saying everyone is united here. This is a totally, a White House where everybody's on the same page. We're running like a well-oiled machine. And the reason I think is important, which is fundamentally this is Donald Trump's policy. I don't think Scott Bessent knows or Howard Lutnick knows where Donald Trump wants to stop with any of this. I don't think they know. I don't think Jamieson Greer knows what Donald Trump wants to see in negotiations with Australia and what that means, how long that means he'll continue. You know, they might know that he wants them to address non-tariff barriers. Great. I don't think they know when he's willing to say that's enough. We have struck a deal with Australia, and we will, completely come to the table, finalize this thing, and tariffs are off, or tariffs are much lower than they were. Tariff increase is much lower than it was. And I think that's what this reflects at the end of the day, is like they can't be on the same page because there's one person whose opinion on all of this matters, and he plays it close to the vest. And he's doing that because he thinks it's his leverage, but at the same time, they have no idea. Like that's what that means at the end of the day, is that it's just, we were talking about this earlier, it's what Donald Trump decides. And speaking of not being transparent, like we actually don't really know because he hasn't said where this stops. What's good enough?
And in the end, this is a rare moment where it doesn't matter. Like the propaganda doesn't matter, the messaging doesn't matter, the infighting, the X-fighting, none of that really matters. What matters, because it's the public is not going to experience this refracted through the media. They're going to experience it. And this stuff is either going to work or it's not going to work. And if it doesn't work, it does not matter what they say about it. And if it works, people will be very happy. So far, not working, and that's all that's going to matter. Like if we get a financial crisis and a recession out of this, it really isn't going to matter how the White House messaged it and whether they were on the same page, whether their fights were internal and leaking or playing out on Twitter, won't matter. You lost your job, you don't care.
Agree.
Hey, if you liked that video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to Breaking Points.
If you want to see the rest of Counterpoints, go to breakingpoints.com to become a premium member and get the full uncut show every morning in your inbox and on Spotify.